I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but I try to stay away from articles and stories that I see get a lot of attention. And this is one of them. I saw Tim Pool do a video. I saw Quartering do a video. But the deal is that this piece coming to us from Refinery 29, it is just in my wheelhouse, okay? Because when it comes to these woke women, I've smashed quite a few of them, and yeah, I never saw a long-term relationship with any of them, i.e., dating. And so we have this coming to us from Vicky Splat. Is that Sprat? From Vicky Sprat. The dangerous rise of men who won't date woke women. And this is Lawrence Fox. And if you're familiar with a video I did a few days back, he was on that show on the BBC, and it was like, look, he basically just red pilled so many people over in the UK, and they're still, reeling from this. And so this lady has some issues with the complete shutdown of entertaining the thought of having any kind of type of long-term relationship with these types of women, aka the perpetual victims. Let's get into it. The word irrespective means saying or doing something without taking anything else into account. For example, irrespective of the fact that the cost of living has jumped, putting pressure on many people, the government plowed on with Brexit and argued that there would be no real economic impact. So it is fitting that white man of the moment. I read that wrong. So it's fitting that white man of the moment, Lawrence Fox, who appeared on the BBC's Question Time program and told a BAME audience member that Meghan Markle has not been on the receiving end of racism before subsequently appearing on the cover of the Sunday Times to tell the world that he does not date woke women, and then displaying an appalling understanding of history by calling the inclusion of a Sikh soldier in Sam Mendes's film 1970 incongruous, has irrespective tattooed on his arm. Did you hear that at the back, ladies? Lawrence Fox, who you perhaps only knew as Billy Piper's ex-husband because you've never seen Lewis, does not date woke women who he believes are being taught that they are victims, irrespective of whether they are right or not. Yeah, because they're not right. They're wrong. I'm sorry, Vicky, but you guys are terribly wrong, and you look for ways to make yourself victims, thusly putting any guy who interacts with you on more than more than a superficial level in grave danger. He thinks that it's institutionally racist to tell the story of the First World War in a racially diverse way because of the demographics of the time. That's not institutionally racist. It's it's not institutionally racist to have a legitimate or a true to life interpretation of historical events. That's not racist at all. But we are balls deep in female logic here, guys. And he also doesn't believe in white privilege, irrespective of the fact that he works in a painfully undiverse industry, was privately educated, and comes from a wealthy acting family, which is nothing short of a dynasty. Yet, these are things not of his control. You can't control who your mom and your dad are, can you? No one can. Fox is denying racism and sexism, irrespective of whether or not they exist. It's nothing short of gaslighting. It's all very Donald Trump. Golly, to be President Trump, everything's on your shoulders, my guy. Like you've done it all. Seriously, this isn't gaslighting though. Like honestly, we all have the choice as to the type of person that we want to deal with in a long-term relationship, right? So why would you, particularly in dealing with this woke culture of Western women who are just perpetual victims? I mean, I think of the story of Aziz Ansari, right, where the girl never sat there and said, that she was uncomfortable, blew my man, then came back and was like, oh my goodness, I wasn't really feeling it. Well, you didn't say anything. I mean, it's kind of hard with my meat in your mouth to convince me that you had a hard time, okay? Fox is denying racism and sexism, irrespective of whether or not they exist. Okay, it's all very Donald Trump. And as you would expect, the whole debacle has lit a fire under anti-woke poster boy Piers Morgan, while gaining Fox thousands of extra Twitter followers. I could go over all the things he said. I could use data to prove how wrong he is. I could express concern for his mental health. After all, who really enjoys arguing on Twitter? I could make jokes about his behavior, but all of that would be to seriously miss the point. There's nothing funny about the things Fox, or Wokey McWokeface as he now wants to be known, is saying. It's also not particularly sad. It's dangerous. He's just one of very privileged man, and as a result of said privilege, has been given a platform. Boy, and he has used that platform to legitimize a bigger backlash against diversity and progress, which is unfolding every single day in less public corners of the internet. Not wanting to date woke women, far from being laughable, is actually one of the more insidious aspects of it. Spend an afternoon on any major dating app and you'll come across generally white men saying openly sexist and misogynistic things. Literally every video. If you wanted to look at it from a certain angle, every video I've done you could call sexist and misogynistic. It's all about, see, here's the thing, lady. Like what a lot of these ladies do is they project their insecurities onto the rest of the world as opposed to looking inward. It's not about the rest of the world. It's about how you react to the rest of the world. It's something that I say on this channel all the time. It's not about what happens. It's about how you react to it. And so if you react to, hey, nice dress with, oh my goodness, this is sexual harassment, then why would anybody ever want to be around you? Why would anyone ever want to spend any type of long-term time with you outside of, a sexual encounter or a sexual conquest? Because and even then, it's not really worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze because of you waking up 2 minutes later saying how, I wasn't really feeling that. This wasn't good. I didn't get a nut, so I was forcibly entered. Come on, man, miss me. They might say no psychos, or what they effing hate big eyebrows in their bios, and by large, they also tend to hold extremely right-wing views and see themselves as victims of liberal thinking. No, like I said, this is a lot of projection right here. In fact, as I was writing this, a dear friend sent me a screenshot of a guy she just matched with who describes Jordan B. Peterson as his dream dinner guest. Yes, the same Jordan B. Peterson that thinks white privilege is a Marxist lie and wants millennials to drop their obsession with social justice. Two things that as someone who constantly quotes Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, I couldn't agree more with the man on, okay? We got bigger fish to fry than, your butthurt feelings about, things that took place before, in many cases, you were even born, right? And as far as like a Marxist, white privilege being a Marxist lie, I can actually see that. I can see that building, having an army of people who believe that they're perpetual victims because of something going on with somebody else, how it can lend itself to the ideologies of socialism and communism. Yeah, I can really see that working out. I, meanwhile, recently had to block someone who, after matching with me, launched into a vile rant about how women are evil, only want sex, and treat men as though they are disposable. When I asked him if he hated women, he replied that he had only moderate disdain for us, before asking me whether I didn't want to date him because I'm actually pretty rough. Now I'm kind of curious what she looks like. The reactionary influence of these ideas doesn't stop at dating, though. As the campaign group Hope Not Hate reported last year, a hostility towards feminism is feeding directly into far-right movements online. Yeah, because feminism doesn't know when to quit. Ladies, you do not know when to stop. Okay, because y'all dragging each other right across. Like, what's with the whole transgender thing, right? You sitting there, you're advocating for things that you really don't want. You're sitting here, oh yeah, well, all women are women. Women don't need to have periods, and that dude is a woman. No, he's not. No, he's not by any stretch of the imagination, but you've decided that, oh yeah, well, you've married yourself to this lie. You've married yourself to the lie of social justice. And so, you have to go completely against, how do I put it? You have to, you eventually turn around and eat yourself. That's the way that mentality, that ideology goes. It eventually eats itself because there's only so many logical conclusions that you can get to before, shoot, man, like you got women who are getting, brave and stunning awards. I think Phelan Fox recently got an award for being so brave and ambitious, even though she would go into the MMA fight, because Phelan Fox is an MMA fighter who actually broke a woman's skull as a transgender fighter fighting against biologically born women. I mean, come on, you end up killing yourself. You end up putting yourself in greater risk. But, there is no end. Your eyes will always be bigger than your stomachs. All of this, of course, speaks only to the presence of the very active online communities of anti-feminist incels, but to the prevalence of the hideous and incorrect ideas they promote. It doesn't take magical thinking to see how men are radicalized by anti-feminism. As the saying goes, when you're used to privilege, equality feels like oppression. The reactionary influence of these ideas doesn't stop at dating, though, as the campaign Hope Not Hate, period. Okay, yeah, I already read that. Hostility towards freedom fitting directly. They found that a third of young British people today believe that feminism is marginalizing or demonizing men, and warned that these beliefs were a slip road to other far-right ideas, which it's not very... Okay, I don't even want to call these far-right ideas. If you sit there, you talk about equality, but you're happy watching the other equal part, right? The other equal part go through the hell that men go through in family courts, go through the hell that men go through when it comes to child support, then yeah, you are a hypocrite. I'm sorry. This isn't just speculation. We know that the number of far-right referrals to the British government's de-radicalization scheme Prevent has dramatically increased recently. In the year from 2017 to 18, they jumped by 36%, while referrals for Islamism actually decreased by 14%. Right now, Lawrence Fox, whether he realizes it or not, has just landed the biggest part of his life. He is legitimizing hatred and division. And yet, he cannot be completely unaware of the role he plays. He has spoken about being radicalized himself on YouTube. Last year, he released an album called A Grief Observed, which is largely about his acrimonious split from Piper. When The Times interviewed him about it, he turned up wearing a pro-Donald Trump MAGA hat and said it was a social experiment. He then told the interviewer that he spent a lot of his time watching YouTube interviews, which had totally radicalized him and caused him to embark on a crusade against woke culture and political correctness. He wanted, he said, to call one of the songs Me Too, but was prevented by his record label. Fox is a case in point that what might start as playing devil's advocate by wandering the streets in a MAGA cap to provoke hipsters can quickly turn into something more sinister. The far right itself can be difficult to pin down because it isn't exactly a coherent global movement with a concrete set of ideas. It largely exists online in Facebook groups, as Twitter accounts, on YouTube, and anonymous message boards such as 8chan. But every now and then their bio spills out dangerously into the offline world. Okay, Jesus Christ. So it's basically people, anybody you don't agree with, Miss Vicky here, you're just labeling right. That's it. In 2016, the Labour MP Joe Cox was murdered by far-right terrorist Thomas Mayer, who, 25 years before he killed her, told a far-right magazine that the white race faced a long and very bloody struggle. And it was 8chan that hosted the manifestos of 3 mass shooters who killed scores of people last year. The El Paso shooter, who left 20 people dead and many more wounded only a couple of weeks ago. The Poway shooter, who opened fire at a synagogue in California last April. And the Christchurch shooter, who killed 51 people at 2 mosques in New Zealand last March. Lawrence Fox, Susan Faldi wrote about the link between violence, anger, anti-feminism prophetically in her book Backlash, the undeclared war against American women back in the... Okay, we're done here. We're freaking done. All right? It's always... You will always find a way to make yourself victims, and that's why dating woke women is a terrible idea. Okay, no matter how fine she is, do what you got with her and then broom her. Alright? Get off whatever nut you need to get off, but do not try to keep anything long term, because all she's doing is building a case for her victimhood at the hands of the evil man that she so desired to be with. I mean, honestly, avoid at all costs. Avoid them at all costs, because this is ridiculous. And that's a big part of the reason why I wanted to go into this article a little bit. Not just because I saw everybody else talking about it, because I've actually spent time in these circles, and I can tell you that they view themselves in the victim role. No matter how charming and hilarious you may be, hint hint, this guy, it's still the danger that you put yourself in even interacting with these women is, I mean, like, bruh, it's a roll of the dice at this point, because she will find a way to make herself a victim. And the way that the system is set up is that, oh yeah, yeah, she is a victim, regardless of the reality or not. So once again, shout out to Lawrence Fox for standing tall. Vicky Spratt, seriously, you need to come down off of this shit. You're not a victim, lady. All right, ladies, if you want long-term relationships, try being somebody worth being in a long-term relationship with. You know, be caring, be nice, be sweet. But I don't need no man, or well, all men are dogs, or any of the other endless mantras that they have to dissuade people from interacting in such a manner. I think that you should really just do away with them, because you're not helping yourself at all. This helps no one. Not a soul. But, you know, you may feel differently. So with that being said, we're going to bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff, if you like to toss it, like, dislike, go ahead, do that too. Nobody's scared of you. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice and you want to give videos like this every single day. Share, because sharing is caring. And YouTube and BitChute and like aren't the biggest fans of your boy over here for very obvious reasons. Bang the bell for notifications and speak. Let me know, what do you think in the comments? Like have you dated woke? Have you interacted with any of these woke warrior women who are just perpetual victims, and no matter what, they will find a way to make themselves victims? It really is insane, but it really puts men, in particularly single men such as myself, in danger of dealing with them and interacting with them, because you never know when she's going to decide, oh yeah, well, I said yes, but now I've decided retroactively that it wasn't consensual. I mean, who would put themselves in this situation? And then what type of just complete narcissistic and callous individual would not recognize that that's the situation that someone she supposedly wants to care about is in, and then try to adjust? No. Always the victim, man. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. And until the next one.